sure my shirt is pulled appropriately.
You're live.
I'm live.
So you're a philosopher? Yes. 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 I think very deeply. I think very deeply. I think very deeply. I think
No, you're
very
fine.
deeply.
Trying to get close to you.
I think very deeply.
Hello.
Ooh, that's a lot of applause.
And welcome to the BILs podcast. I'm Pitch, and as you can see, I have somebody who looks a lot better than Wendell Scott and Rocket here with me.
For sure.
We have the impeccable Inca Queen is here with me, Miss Mindy.
Hey, hi everyone.
And we just like to say thank you for being with us today. How was your week, Miss Mindy?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was listening to make sure we had volume. I actually had a really rough week. It's actually been a pretty crazy June, to be honest. My grandmother came home from the hospital on June 2nd with hospice care, and she went home to heaven on the 18th. So the last week and 2 weeks really have been spent kind of mourning that. And my family follows a tradition called La Novena, which is kind of like a celebration and time of prayer every day for 9 days. And then we kind of culminated that with yesterday spending the day at Holy Hill together. And it was good. I mean, it's hard because she's not here anymore, but um, it's kind of cool because a lot of people loved her a lot. So that's what I've been doing all week.
Okay. My week has been up and down, dealing with the funeral stuff, like she just said, and then also just doing my own thing and going to school and going to work and just the whole school situation, and then having a mental kind of hiccup in there about some stuff that we were talking about in school. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so that's how my week was. So before we get into anything, like we always gotta do. So what you sipping on, Miss Mindy? What you sipping on?
So first shout out to Jesus and Beer because I'm using my Jesus and Beer cup. But I am sipping on blackberry bourbon or brandy. Are they the same thing? Brandy. And some black currant nectar from. Oh, let me show you because this stuff is really good.
Just got the blackberry bourbon.
So we got the blackberry bourbon. I would highly recommend it. And then with this, it's like a nectar, fruit nectar. You can get it probably at any local Mexican grocery store. And then with a little bit of lime juice. So it's really good.
So what we sipping on?
Oh yeah,
I'm sipping on the same thing. There you go, Mr. Wendell. There you go, Mr. Rocket. So what we sipping on? We sipping on that blackberry bourbon and with that blackberry drink.
We're all blackberry today.
Oh. Clank, 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 clank. There we go. So now that we're done with what we're sipping on, we can talk about our topics for the week. You want to go first? Or you want me to?
You can. Lead the way, sir.
Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about this week was I found it kind of interesting. And I should have brought up our phone to have the. There was a controversy out there because people were going to Oprah Winfrey and calling her auntie. And Oprah Winfrey did not want to be called auntie.
Started out with Ava.
And Ava DuVernay also don't like being called auntie. You know, in the black community, I would say predominantly in the black community, we kind of respect those who's a little bit older, and I think it kind of started with Snoop Dogg calling Charlie Wilson Uncle Charlie. You know, so then because he's like uncle to Snoop Dogg, so Snoop Dogg started calling him Uncle Charlie. So since then, a lot of people been calling people in the black community uncle or auntie. Well, Ava DuVernay and Oprah Winfrey and I think Gayle King also don't like being called auntie because they don't want to be considered their auntie. And it's kind of funny because I think that if you should be want to be called because it's a term of endearment. It's not a bad thing, but I think they took it as a bad thing. What's your perspective on that, Miss?
Well, so I read an article on Essence because I didn't really want to give commentary about what they were thinking. And for Ava DuVernay, who, if you don't know who she is, she's like an amazing director. Probably her latest thing you would know of is the Central Park show
When They See
movie
Us.
When They See Us on Netflix. But she was being interviewed, and someone who was interviewing her called her Ms. Ava. And so then she kind of shared, I'm just reading this article in Essence here, that the issue she has recently with being called on Twitter Auntie Ava is that it makes her feel old. She doesn't feel that old. Am I that old? And she's 46 years old. And she would prefer other kind of titles like sis, queen, family, or even just her name. Ms. doesn't bother her, but she really doesn't like auntie, even if they're showing it as respect, because she feels like that's either reserved just for her only actual nieces and nephews, or like Marlon was saying, like somehow it's saying that she's old.
I don't.
I mean, that's what she's saying.
I'll let you finish up what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So I think that's just a personal thing because, like, I can't say that she shouldn't feel that way if that's how she feels. But for me, because I'm 48, says she's 48 or 46,
46.
I am the age of an auntie. So that doesn't make me feel old because 48 is, some people think it's old, some people think it's young, but regardless, I am the age of an auntie. So if someone wanted to call me like, Auntie Mindy or Auntie Melinda, I don't think I'd have offense. Everybody at my job calls me mom, and that doesn't bother me because I'm the age of their moms for some of them. But I could understand why someone personally maybe wouldn't like that, or it might seem too intimate. Like that's not a title you would give. There's more intimacy to that than maybe they feel just a stranger on the street. But I think if you're a celebrity sometimes and you are older, you do represent um like an older woman that people respect.
And
So
that's one of
you
your aunties. So that's to me. I'm sorry. It's just a whole bunch of bull to me because people do it out of respect, and I understand. She said I'm not old. They didn't say ma. They said auntie. Normally you're older if somebody call you ma. You know what I'm saying?
well, if you auntie, you the age of the mom.
Yeah, auntie, but because you're not their mother, they're calling you auntie. It's a term of respect. And yeah, okay, you may not like it, so okay, so nobody will call you that. But it's kind of like, why is that even a big deal? Just be able to call somebody auntie because it's a term of respect. I look up to you. You somebody that I admire. So that's why I'm calling you auntie. I don't really call people my uncles, except my true uncles. But I got people in my life, or even my sons, the boys who we hang out with, our sons. You know what I'm saying? All them, a lot of friends call me pops. You know what I'm saying? It's okay because it's a term of respect, a term of endearment. You know what I mean? The fact that they came out and said, "Don't call me auntie," I think is kind of a slap in the face to a bunch of black people. That's just the way I feel. What do you think?
I don't feel that way.
Why not?
I think they have a right to not want to be called something they don't want to be called, even if the person means it respectfully. That doesn't matter.
That's true.
So I
That's
think
true.
there's nothing wrong with them saying, you might mean it this way, but I don't take it that way. So please don't use that term. here's some terms you could use instead. Personally, I don't think it's something that would in me cause me enough frustration that I would even speak out on it. But I'm not them. So, for whatever reason, that kind of like frustrated her enough or irritated her enough, that she wanted to speak on it. So, like you said, my take on it, I guess, is personally, I don't care. Go ahead, call me auntie. But if someone doesn't want to be, I mean, that's their prerogative, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So what can you do? You can't, like she said though, you can't force somebody to accept a name that they don't want, which I understand.
Yeah.
You know what though, but I guess as black people, we've been forced to do so much stuff. So you don't want to be forced to be called auntie
Oh,
and looked at respectfully. That it is what it is.
but here's someone who made a comment saying that they agree with her. Now, I don't, Kima Jones, I don't know if she is anybody famous or not.
Probably not.
But she said the honorific auntie, title auntie in quotes, actually desexualizes women. It started to bother me when I noticed people using it for Mary J. Because Mary is putting young people to shame, so there's no reason to call her auntie until her knees give out in another 20 years and she decides to park it. Now, personally, to me, that means like I feel like this Kima Jones is saying that if you're an auntie, you old, crippled, should be in the corner somewhere. Whereas I don't feel like that as an auntie. Well, maybe some days when my arthritis is acting up. But overall, like you can call me auntie and I can still be relevant. So again, I think it's just really a personal opinion, but it's just interesting to me when there's so many like big, huge, crazy things in the world to be frustrated with, talking about, having opinions on, standing in this, making your line in the sand on, that there would need to be this whole big like commentary on Twitter and article and, craziness about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sorry, I'm just texting our daughter's boyfriend some a recipe that he been wanting me to text him. Sorry, it just came across, so he texted me, so I'm trying to give it to him. So
dang, Ben, we trying to do the podcast.
Yeah. So everything's going well. So what do you got to speak about this week?
So I guess one of the things that really has been, it's always bothered me about this country, but it's really bothered me like in the last year or so, is a lot of the issues and thoughts about immigration reform and the issues at the border and just the monstrous way that the US is acting, and in turn, the people, you citizens, and their thoughts and viewpoints around individuals who are coming over the border undocumented and who are having unlawful entry, but the disregard for their humanity that is occurring and that people are okay with occurring. And even being as bold as to make statements like, well, if they weren't crossing the border illegally, then this wouldn't have happened. Like, to me, that just makes me want to vomit and potentially punch you in the face when I see you next, because I just feel like we're so on a different stratosphere of having a discussion about this issue that I don't even feel like there's any desire to even want to go further in the conversation, because we're talking about like apples and oranges. One of my friends, and I've actually
hold on. Before we go much further, we got to send a shout out to Rocket.
Oh,
he said, what's up, family?
What up? Aren't you supposed to be on vacation?
He is on vacation and boo, so that's okay. He just checked in on us.
Oh, okay.
So we're just talking about the border issue. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, we don't care about Rocket. Okay, so I wanted to share or read, actually, and a lot of you have probably seen it. It's a meme, but it's kind of talking about stuff happening at the border. So it says, when you see innocent kids being put in tents, sleeping on the floor after getting ripped from their parents, and your response is, did they come here legally? We don't have a difference in political opinion. We have a difference in morality. And that is truly 100% how I feel. That if your initial response to that isn't like the travesty of what that is, or how do we change the trajectory of that reality for these individuals, for these human beings, then I don't know what we have to talk about. I don't know how we even start to get to a middle ground of what that might look like to have reform, because you're basically saying like it doesn't matter that someone's a human being. If they're not doing A, B, C, D, it's okay if they're dead. And to me, then those folks better not be trying to stand up for like the rights of Black folks, LGBTQ community, anything like that, because that's the similarity in that is that there's humanity and we have to value humanity. Period. I don't care if they're from another country. I don't care if they're black, white, brown, red. That's just my personal opinion.
That's part of what Donald Trump did though. He made it bad for you to want to be a different person in this country. He made it bad for immigrants to want to be here. He made it bad for some. So when some people look at them, they see the antithesis of America. So anytime you get a foreigner here or a illegal, Donald Trump made it bad for them, which I don't agree with at all. The other part that makes me mad about that whole thing, what you just said is, when everybody people would be like Black Lives Matters, then everybody yells all lives matters. Well, all lives don't matter in this point because you got kids who sleeping on the ground, who don't have food to eat, who don't have clothes, who don't even have soap and toothbrushes. What kind of crap is that? Even if you don't want them to come to this country. So like for me, I was trying to think about, because Donald Trump's been talking about he's gonna sanction all the South American countries if they allow people to come here. How can you stop other people from coming to another country?
I mean, we know that he can't do half the stuff he says he's going to do.
I'm just saying.
So he's a crazy person. So he talks out his ass because he's a crazy person, and that's what crazy people do. They get in their feelings and they get in their ignorance, and then they spout out a bunch of stuff. So anything that he says, I don't even pay attention to him anymore, quite honestly. I don't read anything about him. I don't watch him when he's on the news because he's irrelevant to me. He can do whatever he wants to do. Any president who's in charge is going to do what they want to do. To me, it's more the response that's coming from it. Because realistically, a lot of this started with George Bush, because in 2006, and I looked it up because I couldn't remember the year, but there was a Secure Fence Act that was put in place that was going to add 700 miles of fence. So that already, originated, that's way before Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That we felt there were issues. So a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily like Trump initiated.
But he didn't demonize. But even though he did that, he didn't demonize the people.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
Is it's not necessarily Trump initiated, but his hatred and his racism and bias, that is really what has can't even be serious. That is really what has, for my personal opinion, made people be okay to say some of the stupid, ignorant, hateful things that have probably already been in their heart. Because, and I looked up some of these statistics too, because I know how Wendell Scott likes you to have information to back up your thoughts. In 2017, there was 3,027 Canadian unlawful entries. We don't hear nothing about those folks. 3,588 coastal borders unlawful entries. The largest number overall of folks who are in this country undocumented is from people who were here legally and they overstayed their visas. That's regardless of country. That is the highest number. It's even higher than the people that are attempting to enter from the southern border. So
we knew a family where the dad was from Canada.
He was a missionary,
and he was here illegally. No. Somebody, I can't say his name on here. I don't want to call him out like that, but we know a dad who his son played football with Izzy.
Oh, well then we know more than one, because I know a family where they were missionaries and they got sent back to Canada.
So it's they got sent back to Canada. Yeah. They got sent
because
back
they were
together.
here illegally.
But this family is here legally. He was here legally. He was scared he was running, but nothing ever happened. So that's just the craziest
I know lots
crap
of
in the
people
world.
here illegally.
Yeah.
And what we would consider illegal. So the other thing is that, like, for me personally, I just don't understand is why people are allowing themselves to get pulled into the hysteria that this is some type of like national emergency. Like, the way it's described in the media, and I know that the White House perpetuates a lot of this, but the way it's described, that there's this invasion. Like, if you think about an invasion, right? Like, think about an invasion of bees, or think about an invasion during times of war. You get this image of like hundreds of thousands of like of people trying to like flood the wall, and
that's the scare tactic put in place by Trump. So that people will start loving him and follow him.
I get that. What I'm saying is, what type of ignorant people live in this country that they allow themselves to fall prey to that? We allow ourselves to fall prey to what deep down we want to be true.
That's the reason why Donald Trump won in the first place, because he is everything that people really, like some white people, I should say, really wanted. Yeah. They wanted to talk back. They wanted to call people names. They wanted to act like an ass. But it was, at the time, if you remember, political correctness was the hysteria of the day. You know, everybody would be PC, and then Donald Trump came and PC went out the window, and that's his base. You know, his base. That's who they are. So they don't care, because that's what they think and that's who they are. They just have been in the shadows for so long. So now they're just out.
So there's this group called UN Missing Migrants, and their UN Missing Migrants Project, and their job is to try to identify who's missing, who's unaccounted for, that have come across the border, and then who potentially may have died in the process. And in 2019 alone, they've identified 170 migrants have died, and 13 of them being children. And again, it's estimated that that number is very low, because they either haven't always found some of the other missing folks, or even people haven't reported it because they know that they were crossing illegally, and so they're not wanting to bring any kind of limelight, you know, to their family or to other people. So they do estimate that that number is really low.
That's why
that horrifies me.
And that's why the census thing is so big and why it's so important, because the census is really for the people who's in the United States, who's here. It has nothing to do with if you're illegal or if you're illegal. The census is really big, and the way that they're trying to do it is, are you a citizen? So then they can go around these people up, because if you think about it, Donald Trump said he's going to start having ICE agents go get people, right? Mm-hmm. So then that's another scare tactic, because now he can say, okay, he's going to send out these census forms, and these census forms, people aren't going to want to do them, even if it doesn't have that question on. Because if you fill it out, then they're scared that people are going to know who they are or what's coming along, even though it's not going to happen. So people aren't going to fill out the census, and then that's going to be lack of money, and it's just a snowball effect.
They already know who they are anyway.
But the government doesn't.
The government does. A lot of folks that are here undocumented or what we would consider illegally, the government knows, because many of them have jobs and pay taxes.
But they don't do it under a real name.
But if you're doing it under somebody who's dead, you're telling me the government doesn't know that person's dead?
I'm just saying, though, but they don't know how many, and some illegals aren't getting paid with undocumented people, however you want to say it, aren't getting paid. They're getting paid under the table. So then that's a whole nother segment that you have. But those are people that we need to know who's here, because in turn, if I have a large segment of undocumented immigrants in America, and they're in this certain area, and then those immigrants don't show up on the census, then that school district or whatever gets less money, and less money ends up, and it's just like a snowball effect. So we need to get these immigrants out there and say, don't be scared, but we need you to sign up for this census, and
I say no,
it's going to be a
don't do
hard
it.
deal.
And it's our job to help them. We differ on that, because that is one thing where I see it two ways. So you have people who, like my grandpa, came across the border as a kid without an adult, just some older siblings, because he needed to get away from abuse and he needed to get away from torturous things that were happening, and cross the border. And 12 years old, 13 years old, he was young, and figure out how to make it, figure out what he needs to do, get a job, not finish school, raise his family, get grandfathered in, different clauses that happen because we're talking way back. Um, and then you have those individuals that now they're here, right? Either they're here through like, DACA, or they were brought here when they were in their teens, or they were able to get into the country, or they overstayed a visa, or they married someone thinking that it would help their status, whatever there's so many different reasons and ways. We have the odds stacked up against those folks to be able to become a citizen. And if you don't think that that's true, then that means you have not really looked into what the immigration laws and how to go about becoming a citizen are. It is not easy. It is not cheap. It's not simple. It's not like it says on the website to just do this form and submit it. Right now in this country, they aren't even looking at half of the forms. They don't even care about forms from some countries. It's worse to get it. It takes longer and it's more difficult to become a citizen if you're from certain countries than from other countries. So we need to stop acting like it's this very simple system to become a citizen, and they just don't want to be citizens.
Well, the reason people think that is because they just go off of what they think they know.
Yeah, and that's why there's always the comment like, well, why don't they become a citizen?
Yeah.
I mean, if they could, they probably would.
Yeah.
But if I have a neighbor or a coworker or somebody I know who is here they're undocumented. They have no legal standing to live in this country. I'm not turning that person in. I'm not. If there's not any criminal activity, I'll turn any criminal in. I'll turn my own family in if I have to, and I would expect them to do the same to me. I'm not turning in just the average person who's working to try and make a life for themselves to raise their families. I'm extending food to them. I'm extending grace to them. I'm extending whatever it is to them because they are a human being that deserve to have that. And it's people who don't want to do that, that instead want to say, are they here legally? I'm not going to be able to give them any toothpaste if they aren't here legally. Those are the folks that, to me, I just can't get that. I don't get behind that. I don't know what kind of insensitivity and selfishness and crazy way you were raised that you don't think about anybody else but yourself. That to me just is heartless, cruel, sad. Part of what makes America not be as great as America likes to think they are is that type of thinking that I only serve myself. And if you do everything right, well, then you're okay. And if you do things the wrong way, then you deserve what you get. I just can't get with that.
Our country in general is messed up anyway, because we're behind in so much different stuff. We're behind in education. We're behind in economics. We're just so much far behind. We're not a happy country. There's just so many things that our country in general is behind, because you got people like Donald Trump in office. You got people who think like Donald Trump, or who just have this white nationalist thought process, which is funny because the white nationalists tell me, if you're a white nationalist, I see you as somebody who's trying to take over what other people had in the first place. You don't belong here, because the word white wasn't really used until the 1700s. Before that, you were from whatever country you are. Even some people now in other countries talk to people here in America, and people in America say I'm white, and then those Europeans be like, "Who? What does white mean?"
Right.
Because white is not an ethnicity. White is a thing we put in place because of blacks and slavery.
Well, and the natives. I mean, really, we going back to where the folks who think they belong in this country only belong in this country because they came and stole it from people that already lived here. But what you said too sparked something. What I was thinking and now I lost the thought. Oh no, I can't think of it. Hope maybe it'll come back to me. I can't
maybe
think of
it will.
Probably not.
Who knows? Who knows? So are we gonna move on to another topic, or you want to talk about this?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
What
so
else you got?
what I also want to talk about is within the last 2 months. I don't know if people have been paying attention or not, but there's been a killing of 4 black transgender females, and nobody's really talking about it. Nobody's really expounding on it. Every once in a while, you'll hear about it, but you don't hear it like on national news. You don't hear it on like even local news unless it's local. A lot of them happen in Texas, and nobody seems to care about what's going on with that. I think it's a tragedy because first of all, to be a transgender black male or female, however you want to say it, in America is horrible. I think that's probably the bottom rung of the ladder, you know what I'm saying, of everything stacked against you. But it's horrible because these people are being killed and nobody seems to care. For me, I see it and it's just like I try to post about it on my Facebook page and people just don't care, you know what I'm saying? People they don't make no jokes or anything like that to me, but they just don't care in general. And it's starting to become more of an epidemic. And as we start to look for it, we got to look more and more of why it's happening, not versus how, but why. Excuse me. That's why I don't drink.
Yeah, because you're never sleepy at this time unless you drink.
But yeah, you got to figure out why it's happening. You got to figure out what's going on and why are these women being killed just because they're transgender. It's unbelievable to me, and nobody's even talking about it.
No, it's hate. You know, I mean, that's at its core. It's there's nothing else to describe it but hate and fear. Because if there's a human being walking down the street and you could either walk past them being beaten or choose to beat them for nothing else than what they look like or what they represent to you, that's some deep shit. Excuse my language. That's some you don't see that person.
Podcast.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's some deep shit. But you don't see that person as a human being. You can't see them as a human being. And I think that is the frustrating part about these women who are being brutalized and murdered is that their humanity is not recognized, right? It goes along with the other things that we talk about so often. Black young men and young women too being killed by the police and nobody cares. Human beings crossing our border for whatever the different reason and not being given the opportunity to even explain, right? They're seeking asylum even. They're not being given the ability to seek asylum the way they have in the past. But it doesn't matter because we don't see them as human beings. So it's like it's okay to do that. When we decide we're going to go and bomb another country, they're the enemy, right? We're not seeing them as human beings, so we don't care. Transgender individuals, human beings, aren't seen as human beings. So it doesn't matter what happens to them, right? They should just, dress the way God made them. And, I guess part of all of that, when I think about the people who like hate so deeply and can spread hate, I think who it bothers me the most doing that is when people spread that hate, talk about that hate, stand for that hate, and pretend to be Christians or pretend to be doing it in the name of God.
That's funny you say that. So let me ask you this. If Jesus came back today, what would probably happen to him? If Jesus walked the earth today,
same thing that happened to him last time. He'd get murdered. I mean, it'd be a replay.
Christ. People be like, "No, you ain't."
It'd be a replay.
Get the hell out! Get the hell out of our country, you foreigner! All this kind of stuff.
It'd be a replay.
Because realistically, he probably looked like what some people consider "quote unquote" terrorists.
I'm
You know
sure
what
he
I'm saying?
did. He
So
didn't
people be
look
like-
like the white, blue-eyed people, Jesus, they got hanging on their wall.
Jesus need to rebrand it. He need to be rebranded because the people that's representing him now, oh damn.
Some
I
of
don't
the
know.
people.
Some of the people, yeah.
Because I represent him. And
Some
that's not
some
me.
people that represent him now is like, oh, what the hell is going on?
But realistically, that's always been. If you think about the Crusades, and if you think about Christians that have always hated, but that own slaves, that beat their women, that
Well, they were doing
think it's
that.
okay.
They
But
were
that's
doing that out of the name of the Bible because the Bible says do that.
but what I'm saying is, you said people that represent Jesus, they pretend to represent him. They don't.
Yeah,
They don't represent him.
I guess. Wow. JC, you need a rebranding, dog. I don't know what to tell you, but these people out here acting a donkey in the name of you.
Yeah, and they always have been.
You got something else you want to holler about?
No, not really. Nothing pertinent. We get to see our kids for the 4th of July. That's something. Okay, that's what I want to talk about.
What?
Okay, so 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of what this country stands for. And before any of you want to like spout out at the mouth, because there's already somebody stupid that's like, well, go move somewhere else. I have a right to be here just as much as you do. And I have a right for this country to represent what I think it should just as much as you do. So just because it's representing you and your thought process right now doesn't mean that I need to move. I would prefer if you moved. Go move somewhere else so this country can represent what I think it should. So that's all I have to say about that. For all those people who like to jump on social media with their ignorant people from Oconomowoc and Oak Creek and Shorewood and other small little dumb towns.
But what are you
Back to what we were saying. I used to love to do the whole red, white, and blue thing for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
The kids would be dressed in red, white, and blue. I'd be dressed in red, white, and blue. We'd have the little flags at the parade. We'd decorate the house, all that stuff. Now, I still enjoy going to the lakefront for the fireworks, having family time. We always have a 4th of July picnic. But because
we don't have picnics in this house.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Cookouts, barbecues.
We don't have picnics.
I just can't. I was at the store the other day, and they had this cool display of like all the red, white, and blue stuff. Sunglasses, the googly hats, all the different stuff. And it just made me feel like sick to my stomach because I just can't get you rah about the USA. And it doesn't mean, like I said, that I want to move, which is what led to that little rant. It just means that I'm not so pro USA. I can't get behind that we're the best mentality. I don't believe we are the best. I believe we have the potential as individuals to do great things, but I don't think we're anything special.
Well, the best comes from trying to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. You know what I'm saying? So that thinking that we're the best comes down to because realistically, we don't know nothing else. A lot of people don't even know other. If I got a map and I show people if I ask people to show me where Russia was, I wonder if they could even show. Half people probably couldn't even show me. If I said show me where Tokyo, Japan, or North Korea was, people probably couldn't show me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a lot of people talk all this stuff about how great our country is, but that's because you don't know nothing else. You haven't been other place else. You haven't seen anything else. You don't know what they do in other countries. So as long as that always happens, you never are gonna know. You have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what? So if I think I'm the best, I have nothing to compare it to. Of course, my standard of who I am and what I know and what I do is gonna be the best. You know what I'm saying? I thought about that recently too, on the 4th of July. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy my day off. I enjoy cooking. But yeah, I'm not really a big rah 4th of July. And I don't know if I ever really have been now thinking about it. I wonder if I ever have really been a big, I don't think I've ever been a big 4th of July. Yeah. I've been a day off. Yeah. I you know what I'm saying? I like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever been a big 4th of July. And I was in the Marine Corps. So if you wanted to try me on that, go ahead and try me on that. and because I was in the Marine Corps, so for you to even say anything, if you want to say anything about that, that's what I'm telling you. I was in the Marine Corps. If you have never been deployed for this country, or you have never, what's wrong?
Just
See, that's what drinking does.
no.
That's what drinking does.
No, just as you were talking,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought back to what I was saying when I first started going on the rant, about leaving the country, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
I realized what kind of people we are.
Boy.
Okay, okay. You know how Cedric talks in one of his stand-up. Maybe you've seen this stand-up bit he does. He talks about in a relationship to being the difference between black people and white people. But obviously, I'm not black, so it goes deeper than that, Cedric.
I wish.
But he said there's I wish people and I hope people.
Yeah.
We I wish people. And that's why our kids are I wish people. I hope people. Here's the example if you've never heard his stand-up. And this is like a very poor reenactment or whatever you want to say of his stand-up. But let's say you're going to a concert and you're getting there late and you got your tickets in your hand. The I hope people are walking toward their seats saying, I hope nobody is sitting in our seats. I really hope nobody is sitting in our seats. The I wish people are walking toward their seats saying, I wish somebody would be in our seats because they're ready to stomp that fool out. Marlon and I are I wish people, and I apologize for that, but only a little bit.
I don't apologize for it at all, ever. Because the crazy thing that I see the most about this in general, just talking about this whole thing, is, on Facebook I put up a lot of controversial stuff, and I have people pop off back at me, and then like people who I knew in high school who I haven't seen since high school, which was almost 30 years ago, come out and say, "Well, you weren't like that in high school. How? First of all, you don't know me. You know what I'm saying? In high school, half y'all didn't really know me. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you come out and say, how could you change? You've changed since high school. Well, damn right. Hopefully you changed too, because that was 30 damn years ago. And if you still same person you were 30 years ago, you got issues. So I have evolved and I have changed. So yeah, I am a I wish you were person.
Or and like I said, and like you said too, maybe they didn't even know you as much as they thought they did back then to say that's how you were then.
Yeah, people just think that they know everything and they don't. They don't know jack.
That's us too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm willing to admit that there's a lot of stuff I don't know.
I know a lot of stuff. I know a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Rocket knows Marlon and Wendell Scott, they know everything there is to know in the whole entire world.
See, that's where she get wrong. We don't know a lot. We know everything. We know a lot, though.
Mm-hmm. Between the three of you, probably know everything.
Between a lot of us, between three of us, we could probably get it covered. So, yeah. So
let Aaron and I have our own podcast once.
We keep telling y'all to go ahead and do it.
We'll air after you,
Miss Rocket. You need to go on and do your own podcast. Get your other sister too,
so we can.
Miss Yolanda.
We'll come on with commentary after their podcast and undo all the nonsense that they have spewed.
And y'all can be the sillies, the seals,
no,
the sisters-in-laws. I don't know. I'm just saying.
We come up with our own name. Thank you.
You got to. Go ahead, try it. Do your thing, women, ladies. Do your thing. I don't care. I hope it takes off. I hope y'all get paid. Then I can sit home and not do nothing.
I'm trying to sit home and not do nothing.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do that a long time.
Yeah. Coming.
I want to be bored.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yes.
Yeah. I hate working, but it's life. And really, I don't mind working. It's really I'm getting tired of school. I started school probably 2 years ago, thinking I was going to be done in 3 years because, working full time and still going to school. But the problem is now they dragging on in all the classes. The majority class, some of the major classes I got to take are only during the day, and I only can take one class a semester during the day, which sucks. So it is what it is, and I just got to take my time and do it and get done with it.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
What do you always tell the boys? You do what you have to do now.
So you do what you want to do what you later.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
what I'm saying. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm saying it's getting tiring, but I am doing it. I ain't give up. So yeah.
You didn't give up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give up either.
Yeah.
Gotta see this through.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
We got anything else?
That's all I got.
That's all I got. Well, it's been a lively time with you all. We're glad that you're with us. I'm not sure if we'll be doing a podcast next week because of 4th of July, but if not, you have a
The 4th is on Thursday, though.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna do it because of family stuff. Who knows? But if not, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Maybe you'll be looking for your Facebook page. We'll let you know for sure what we're doing next week. But that's that.
That's all she wrote?
Yeah. Inca Queen, want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Anything to say on your way out?
No, I'm going to go finish my drink. I'm going to stay near my hubby's side for the whole weekend because it's been a long 3 weeks of emotional stuff and a lot of things keeping me away from the house. So I'm looking forward to just a weekend together.
All right. Me too. All right. Well, we'll see you later. Peace, love, and hair grease. See you later.